Hi, today I have a message called Assist Everyone. Here's the short version. The ego has its ideas of isolation and it has its ideas of connection. Both are false. It doesn't matter how minor or major the illusion seems to be that covers up the goodness without opposite everywhere. And that statement came to me at 12:12, the time 12:12. Then the idea of the 144,000 came. And then the idea of it springing immediately into exponential growth. So I just paused to take that in. Then the next idea came. Let's say 144,000 beings see goodness without opposite everywhere. Every time I typed an opposite, I misspelled it. I just think that's funny. The only typos in this are in the word opposite. Okay. This spreads immediately and has the appearance of exponential awakening. The 12,000 became the 144,000. I think mathematically that doesn't work, but the 12 becoming the 144. The idea of squares and mathematics and exponents and the spread of awakening. That's the main point there. Okay. Assist everyone in waking up with you. To hold yourself in a special status of awake, while one remains who is not awake, is to hold yourself in misery. Okay. So back to the ego has its ideas of isolation, and it has its ideas of connection. Both are false. The ego can enact very dramatically and loudly, with lots of thoughts attached to it, a very full-blown and dramatic performance of isolation. And the ego can also, with equal intensity and drama and sparkles and applause, enact its idea of connection, both fatal connection, let's say a murder, okay, or what seems to be life-giving connection in our most cherished ideas about bodies and the happiness bodies can bring us. So, man, this is really getting to the heart of things. I'm resisting it a little bit because how can I speak against the ego's highest ideals for what it says love is, and the connection of bodies and the connection of personalities and the happiness that the ego promises comes to us through the connection of personalities. But from this perspective, the only happiness is seeing the same holiness everywhere. And holiness is quiet. It's full-blown in the sense of it's so full and complete, but it is not dramatic. It does not cause reactivity. It just is. It's just here, and it's just real, and it's just powerful. And it's underneath any really full-blown, dramatic, impressive, sparkly surface the ego would present to us. Either sparkly in the negative, like a conflagration of a fire, right? Or sparkly in the positive, like, look at me, I'm so very attractive or so very successful. Not just a person, like a situation seeming to say this to you. Look at this house, it's so perfect, and it's so, and look at these clothes, and look at this field of flowers. And not that, this is a hard thing to express, like to not be distracted by ego's highs and lows, positives and negatives, while at the same time understanding that spirit can use these symbols quietly, powerfully, calmly. Can use a symbol of a person, a flower, a human interaction. Spirit can use all of that. But when ego's in charge, ego is wrenching you kind of back and forth, up and down, and telling you, look, here's this ideal, but you aren't it, or they aren't it, or you can't have it, or they'll never get it. Spirit's here reinforcing the total, real equality of every being and allowing that to be expressed temporarily in form, in the last illusion. You don't need form, but you have to see that form doesn't hold any threat. Spirit uses form that way. Not to grab you and entrance you, propel you, No, just to quietly reflect. You're here and you're safe and you're loved. And look at everyone. They're here and they're safe and they're loved too. So I feel like the way I tried to get this across was probably pretty clumsy, but I know there's something real here for me, and it's something I'm supposed to see through and kind of relax into and acknowledge and accept. So to the best of my ability, I brought that one through. Let's see if there's anything else. The ego has its ideas of isolation and it has its ideas of connection. Both are false. So the big temptation is the ego's ideas and ideals about connection of personalities and connection of bodies. And not to criticize any ideal the ego's presenting, but just to see right through it. It's not, we don't have to say it's wrong or it's bad. It's just nothing, and there's no meaning there, and there's no value there. But where is all the meaning and value? In the holiness that I am, which is totally connected to the holiness you are, which is totally connected to the holiness everything is. If I can just put my attention there, instead of in any dents or divots or sparkles on the surface of things that would distract us and mislead us, both those dents and divots and those sparkles, the way they seem to be opposite to each other, both of those are going to mislead me. So I have to be careful, and I have to sink down into and rest in the holiness in me and you right now, because it's always joined, it's always one thing. And from that holiness, not being distracted by any service the ego's showing me through my senses and telling me is real and meaningful and significant and valuable, all the meaning and significance and value is in the holiness I share with you right now. Nothing else. Or I could use synonyms: innocence, truth, grace, love, light. Okay, but it's just the one thing. And everything in me has to be guided by this one thing. I understand my happiness comes from that and nothing else. And as I allow this, then I can see the same happening for you. I can share that because minds are connected. Minds can share. The light from one mind can shine into another. Thank goodness, because the light from your mind can shine into mine. and the point is, I need to welcome that. There's no threat from anyone I call else, because the light in their mind can shine into mine. And that includes things. The light in the mind of this cord I'm looking at can shine into mine. This isn't a brain. The brain is just the physical symbol of the mind. And we're used to thinking mind is maybe only contained in humans or just humans and animals. Mind is just everywhere, really. And mind is holy. Now, some spiritual traditions use mind to mean ego or monkey mind, and not that one. I'm talking about what's one amongst all of us. Okay, it doesn't matter how minor or major the illusion seems to be that covers up the goodness without opposite, misspelled again, everywhere. It does not matter. Not getting tricked by the illusions, no matter how positive or negative, no matter how major or minor, is key right now. Like being steady, being sane, having eyes open, going slow. That seems key right now. Seeing through the idea that danger could be real or anywhere. Seeing through the idea that sickness or hell or murder or death could be real and actually present anywhere. I can get shown illusions about all of that. But to finally admit those can't ever be anything more than an illusion. And as such, they have no meaning and no value. Where's the meaning and value? Right here in what connects all of us. Right here. Sorry, that's my phone buzzing. It's right here. It's in my phone buzzing. Holiness is in the buzzing of my phone. Okay, so then the next thing that came through was, and I received that statement at 12:12, and I just rested in that for a while. 12 times 12 is 144, and the 144,000 are supposed to be the chosen ones. Now, when ego uses this, ego will say some are chosen and some are not. That's not true. All are chosen because there's only one of us. But it seems in time that some wake up before others. So it's going to seem in time like some become happy, like happy for no apparent reason, before you. And it'll seem that others become happy for no apparent reason after you. That doesn't matter because time itself is an illusion. There's just one of us. But it's going to seem that way. So let's say this 144,000 is this idea of it looks like some do it first. Relax into full happiness about the happiness present and alive in everyone and everything everywhere. It seems that some do it first and then others come later. Doesn't matter. It's time. Time's not real. The most important thing is that it's all of us. Most important thing is that it's all of us. 144 brings to mind the idea of the exponent. So if you're going to take anything from that, and you don't have to, it doesn't have to be an important idea, but for some reason it came through and it did get emphasized, then take the idea that your 12 becomes 144 today, and then square that 144, and in the next minute that's what it becomes, and in the next second square that, just square whatever you just had, and it's exponential. It spreads. So when you come into the idea of something in your world that seems to be like there's a germ, there's a flu, there's a COVID, there's a measles, there's an Ebola, there's a this, there's a that, and it spreads. This is the ego's substitute for, hey, let me put on a pyrotechnic display, always with your cooperation, with your fear. Ego requires our fear to put on its fireworks show. So ego will say, I'm going to make you fearful of the idea of something spreading exponentially. Terrorism, migration, poverty, these things that seem to, I think A Course in Miracles says something like, stalk the earth in unrelenting waves, something like that. That depends on our fear, our investment of fear, and our investment of believing those separate things are real. Like Ebola is real and it's separate from COVID. COVID is real and it's separate from measles, and it can stalk the earth in waves. And there's a certain group of people who have said COVID's not real and that test isn't testing anything, and isn't that an interesting development for us? There's a willingness to see through this fiction of illness and waves of illness. And we don't have to judge or analyze anyone who seems to be on either side. The most important thing about all of them is that they're holy, and that they share one beingness with us. There's nothing more important than that. There can't be any being right or being wrong about illusions, because illusions are nothing. But we can remember our shared holiness, and nothing's more important than that right now. Something I would use to block it is fear instead of the exponential growth of all the things that the world seems to say can grow and spread exponentially that could threaten bodies and personalities. All of that's the fiction. And when I looked down at the time was 13 minutes and 33 seconds. So no, it's not the 144, it's the 133. Go a little further, get to the 144. The 144 is exponential spread of the awareness of light and love. Love and light isn't spreading. It's already here. It's already everywhere. Holiness and innocence are already in place. They're already everywhere. What spreads exponentially is the awareness that holiness and love and light have always been here. That's the good news. That's why you laugh, because they've always been here underneath everything, and you finally allow yourself to see it clearly. You finally stop throwing up covers and shields and roadblocks to prevent yourself from seeing that this holiness has always been here forever. So I think that's everything. Let me go back through, and the time just hit 14:40, so there's our 144. It seems long to me, so I'm just going to take a moment to address the reluctance that comes with giving a message that seems too long. Let that one go. All right, it does not matter how minor or major the illusion seems to be that covers up the goodness without opposite everywhere. 144,000 springing immediately into exponential growth. So what gets emphasized as I go back through it is immediately. That's what's in you and everything and everyone. The possibility of immediate exponential spread of ability to remember and be aware that light and love are within everyone and everything. They're the most real thing about anyone or anything. Everything else is a fiction. And they can extend immediately. Just because we allow it, just because we're not afraid of it anymore. So there we are with that. Okay. So let's say 144,000 beings see goodness without opposite everywhere. This spreads immediately and has the appearance of exponential awakening. The 12 become the 144. It just expands, 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 expands. When we're clamping down in a situation, we are trying to control it. And that's something I experience every day and still believe is practical and useful and safe. But more and more we're going to begin to see the expansion, the expansion, the expansion, the resting in what is shared. That's our safety. That's our steadiness. That's our holiness. And this is a time where we can really ground ourselves in that and accept it. Let's see if there's anything else. 144,000 beings see goodness without opposite everywhere. Oh, I remember as I was receiving this, the idea of the orgasm came in, how that's like a contraction and expansion and contraction and expansion and contraction and expansion. And that's been the pleasure pain thing we've had going on. We thought all we had was pleasure and pain. So we've been chasing after the pleasure and trying to avoid the pain, thereby making both of them real. And we kind of don't want to lose the pleasure, because where are we going to be? We'll only have pain, right? But if we let go of pain, we let go of the pleasure that's an opposite to that pain. If we let go of both, what's here? The happiness of holiness, the constant expansion, the never-ending extension. It's not a contracting and expanding, it's a never-ending expanding. It's an eternal extension. And this is, if you can think of yourself just unfurling your wings, stretching out, just allowing everybody and everything to do that as they really are. It doesn't matter what costume or disguise they've been wearing. No analysis of the past is needed, because the past is just the pieces of the costume we've used to disguise everyone and everything. The holiness and goodness and light that's within them and real right here. But we keep piling stuff on top of it and refusing to see it. Well, today can be when we stop refusing and say, let all the costume pieces fall off. They're not meaningful. They're not valuable. We can allow the awareness and remembrance of extension forever. Assist everyone in waking up with you. So, assistance. We give assistance, we get assistance. It may seem to have a human form. It may only seem to be mind to mind. And all of that's fine. There can be guilt that comes in if you think, I haven't been assisting enough in the human form. And what comes to me is, if the human form needs to do something, it will be obvious and it will be involuntary. So there's no forcing. It's very natural. If you've ever given a hug you haven't thought about giving, that can come either from the ego or the spirit, actually, because ego, we're just so like chaotic, we don't even know what the heck's going on. But it's like that. You don't even plan on it, you just do it. Okay, so assist everyone in waking up with you. There's nothing we need to hold to ourselves. In the past, ego has told us that if we have something and we hold it to ourselves, then we have it and others don't have it. And so we can enjoy it because we have it and others don't have it. And now is when the more we can see that everyone has it, the more we can see that we have it. So the more I can see that you have holiness because you are holiness, the more I can remember myself as the innocence and holiness I am, and then I can be open to the guidance that would flow through me for the remainder of the experience of the human form and whatever it's supposed to do. There's an openness in not knowing what it's supposed to enact that allows Spirit to come in and use it for whatever purpose would benefit everybody. And don't worry if it seems you become inactive for a time. You're resetting, you're reorienting. We don't know what's going on. We don't know what we're doing. We have to come into this place of complete openness. And sometimes it seems to take time to get through all those layers and kind of, I see like a starfish relaxing in the water, all the 5 points of the starfish extended and just let Spirit come through and do what it will. And then at the same time, seeing Spirit everywhere and everything, and allowing Spirit to extend through everyone and everything you see and experience. It's a huge thing. So be patient and be gentle. And when you think of anyone, think of what's the same and beautiful in both of you, and that's your assistance to them. And then if there's further assistance to be given, it'll become clear. And if it's not clear, it's okay to rest and to keep unfurling and unwinding and letting the scales fall away from your eyes, and then just taking time to remember them as they are. And if A Course in Miracles has a line of something like, "What should I do for him, your holy son?" So we can always raise that question, like, I don't know which end is up or what I'm supposed to be doing, but if I need to do something, will you make it obvious? And Spirit will, and you'll be able to do it. So hold on to that part of it rather than trying to enforce enacting an ideal with anyone, because it's just going to take us longer if we try to do that. We all have our ways in which we're doing that, or in which we think we're spectacularly not doing that, and the point is to relax out of both. All the orientation toward personality and body ideals. Just relax out of them and allow Spirit, which is what we all are together harmonically, to use the forms as it will. We can trust that use of form. To hold yourself in a special status of awake while one remains who is not awake. There's you over there. How are you awake and not awake at the same time? Is to hold yourself in misery. So any differential judgment, any tension we would feel, that's misery, and that's misery we're calling upon ourselves. Any time we don't feel good, we've called that upon ourselves. Isn't that crazy? Because we think it's useful and practical and wanted and desired and protective. So yeah, we're crazy. We're all in the insane asylum together. The tiniest bit of tension or stress I'd feel about anyone or anything, I have called that upon myself as a form of protection. But our actual protection is here, our shared holiness. And as I focus on that, on the blessing everyone can give, because they are blessed and they are a gift and they are a blessing and they are a miracle, as I really focus on that, then everything else can fall away. I don't need to see anything else. I don't need to see anything except the blessing and the miracle and the gift you are. It's not necessary. I don't need any pyrotechnics. I don't need any fireworks. I don't need anything fancy. The most beautiful thing there is what you are and always have been. So I don't need to wish for anything to cover up your surface. All I need to do is to see you, which is not a body and it's not a personality, as you are forever. We don't need time to limit us. We don't need space to limit us. We never did. But as we're learning to shake it off, allow it to go, we also simultaneously together allow all the little facets of it to be used to remind us, to help us become aware, to uplift us. So we see a world that begins to reflect happiness back to us. Of course, it's not impossible. The power that makes this possible is the power we are and the power we share. And it's our choice to keep our focus here, to use our shared strength to keep our focus here, and to allow all the goodness and beauty that everyone is to extend and to make itself seen and heard and experienced today. Okay, I hope that helps in some way, and thank you for listening.